Um, I'm not done with Demon in White, the Sun Eater Book 3, but I'm more than halfway done. I think I have about 300 pages, give or take. It's almost finished. Or like 280 pages, around there. And I just want to talk about what I read recently. It was a chapter called Unlooked For. And it's chapter number. Hold up. No. Chapter 54. I want to talk about that. Unlooked For. It was so good towards the end of that chapter. And like just seeing like everything play out, and I am going to get into spoilers because I do want to talk about this. So just a fair warning that I will be talking about spoilers here. And this chapter had me so like it just really tugs at your heartstrings. I was even holding back tears. I'll be honest. Like I was really holding back tears because Gibson comes back, and like from book one, like this whole time I really thought like Hadrian might meet his dad again. Hadrian might meet his mom again. Hadrian might meet his brother again. But I didn't really think that he would meet Gibson because throughout book one, throughout book two, Hadrian, and I really like how this plays out. Hadrian thinks that Gibson might be dead, that he is dead. And he also says throughout the book, like that, the galaxy is so vast, the cosmos are so vast, like Gibson could be anywhere in these trillions and trillions and trillions of worlds. Gibson could be anywhere. The chances of him seeing him is almost none. And yet, towards the end of this chapter, right? He's walking down into the cavern underneath the library, right? And he's describing the beauty of the underground library, right? Underneath the library, and he's describing the pool of water, and he's describing the statue, and he's describing the lights, and yet all those descriptions to him mean nothing the moment he lays his eyes on the man sitting on the bench. And when I read this, I was like, it was so like, I was holding back tears because I'm like, well, this is amazing. Knowing how they got separated, knowing the torture that Gibson went through for Hadrian, for a better future for Hadrian, knowing all the things that Hadrian went through, throughout the entire, all like the three books that I've read so far, right? Book one, book two, and now book three. He constantly thinks about Gibson. It's not like, oh, he thinks about it once in a while. No, he constantly, and the author does a really great job at showing how rooted Hadrian is because of Gibson. Like everything that Hadrian goes through, right? He thinks of Gibson's words. He thinks of Gibson's voice. Everything that Gibson has taught him, and and in book one, if you read it, you know that Gibson tried to help Hadrian escape, and he gets whipped for it. He gets whipped for it publicly, and instead of being executed because he's a Palatine, and he served Hadrian's dad loyally, for a while. Instead of killing him, they banished him to who knows where, right? And he gets whipped and he gets banished, and Hadrian has to see this. This guard holding him down. He sees this, so and he it's an emotional thing for him, because Gibson is like the only actual father figure that Hadrian has. I mean, Hadrian's real father didn't even act like a father towards him, but Gibson was his teacher. He was his mentor. He was like the father that in everything but name. So when he sees him, and he stops describing everything, and he says like none of that mattered the moment I laid my eyes on the person sitting on the bench. And the moment he laid his eyes on the person sitting on the bench, his vision starts blurring from tears, okay? And I'm reading this, and I like this shift instantly in Hayden's perspective, where he would multiple times he would talk about how um the universe is so vast, right? The galaxy is so vast, right? He's never gonna see Gibson again. He thinks he's dead, and yet the moment he saw him, he writes, the cosmic is vast and greater still, right? And then he says, Oh, I gotta read this. Hold up. I remember the page number too, because it's just that good, that chapter. It was page 430. Right here. He says, um, 400 billion suns in our galaxy, trillions of worlds, half a billion of them settled by man. So small, small enough for chance, for miracles unlooked for. His whole mindset just shifted from thinking of the impossible, right? That this is not possible. Like to see Gibson again, this vast world, Gibson might be dead. To instantly thinking and describing how gigantic the galaxy is, and yet in all that enormity, right, in all that like mass, there is still hope, there is still chance, there's still miracles unlooked for. And then Gibson looks up and he says hello Hage. Like it's just like so emotional to see that happening, because I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years have passed since he's seen Gibson. He really thinks he's dead. And again, like I said, throughout book one and throughout book two and book three, he constantly thinks about Gibson's teaching. He constantly hears his voice in his head. The quiet showed themselves as Gibson to him. And it's just really cool to see, because it wasn't an anticlimactic reunion. I read books and I think that's what also made it very emotional, because it wasn't anticlimactic. I see a lot of books, right? I mean, I read a lot of books, and whenever a reunion happens, it's not like as emotional as it should be, right? And I think there's multiple factors in that. First is like a constant build up. In other books, right? There's like here and there they'll think about the person, they'll miss the person, but it's not described in the way that Christopher Rocchio describes it, where Hadrian is thinking about Gibson so much that he naturally, everything he's learned from Gibson, he naturally plays that forth in his life, right? He naturally does these things, and he follows Gibson's teachings, and he thinks about his voice all the time. He thinks about his teachings. Fear is a poison, grief is a deep water. He constantly thinks about these things. And so the reader is also reminded of Gibson multiple times, and me, like I really thought, like I really thought like he probably is not gonna see Gibson again. Gibson might be dead. He could be anywhere, right? He could be wherever. I thought he would see his family first. I thought Hadrian would see like um his mom or his dad or his brother, but no, he gets to see the person who really was a father figure to him. And what I mean when I say it wasn't anticlimactic is because when they were, when they had the reunion, it wasn't like, oh my god, it's Gibson, oh my god, like I'm so happy. No, it was like he was crying, right? Hadrian was crying. He walks up to the bench and he falls on his knees, and he just like the tears, and he's just crying, and then he holds Gibson's hand, right? That's another thing. And then he's like, Gibson, is that really you? Emphasized on the really, and then he laughs, and as he laughs, more tears start falling. So it wasn't anticlimactic. It was a really good description, a really good way to have them come meet up together again, and I just really really enjoyed that so much. And it blows my mind that I see people online saying book 2 is better than book 3, book 2 is better. Like I really don't get it, because so far each of these books have had their own uniqueness to it, right? The story still follows the same person, yet there's so many different things going on, but it's all building up towards one thing. So book 2 was, it was like very action packed, very like mysterious, but book 3 is more like assassins and secrets and emotions, right? I think book 3 is much more emotional than book 2, because of the chapter unlooked for. I think unlooked for is was like so emotional, and it was so great. And I just it just I just find it weird when people are like, oh, book 3 wasn't that good. I see people rating other Sun Eater books like, oh, I rate this 5 star, 5 star, but nobody talks about Demon in White. And I think it's just underappreciated, if that makes sense, because people forget, like, again, the entire thing is a build up, and just to see this reunion happen after so long, right? it really hits you because again you see Hadrian constantly thinking about Gibson. You know, his voice is in his head. He's always thinking about him. And when he sees him again and he's crying and you know, like he tells Gibson everything, even things that he's never told other people before about Cat. And it was just such a beautiful chapter. And the chapter reunion when he's telling him everything is also beautiful. And I just think it was amazing, and I think it was so emotional, and I'm so excited to finish this book and start Kingdoms of Death. I'm reading all 7 books like back to back. I've not read anything in between. It's just too good. I'm enjoying it, and yeah, I just wanted to talk about this chapter. I will definitely give an update on other chapters too. Like, there's so many things I want to talk about, but for now, I just, like I'm gonna finish this book and then talk about it. But I just wanted to talk about this chapter. I think it was so great just to see like Hadrian going through all this, right? Going through all this burden of literally like carrying the galaxy on his back, literally, right? He has the weight of the world on his shoulders, and the one person he yearns for, right? He thinks he's dead, and yet he meets him. And again, the reason why I love this so much is the way Hadrian describes it. Hadrian went from thinking that the universe is so vast that there's no chance at all of meeting Gibson again or seeing Gibson, not knowing what happened to Gibson, to instantly changing his mind the moment he sees Gibson. That he describes the world, right? Trillions of worlds, right? Galaxies so vast, cosmic, so great, and yet everything is so small. Everything has chance. Everything has hope for miracles that are unlooked for, right? Like he unlooked because he gave up, and yet it was a miracle that was unlooked for. It was a miracle that happened to him. It was a chance, a fate, something, and it was amazingly described, and I love it. I love that. Thank you guys for watching the video. I just wanted to talk about this real quick. I'm really, really enjoying this read, and I actually slowed down the reading because I reserved book 4 from the library, and I'm number 1 on the whole list, so I'm just waiting for it to come, and I don't want to like finish this and then wait for me to get the next book. So once that book is available for me, I'm just gonna finish this book, start reading that right away. Thank you guys for watching the video. I'll see you guys on the next video.